So I wanted to make a video in one of my weird outfits and talk about my poetry. So as you've probably noticed, I'm not a very standard poet. I don't talk about people's eyes and compare them to the ocean, really. If anything, I take things very cliche, well, cliche in the sense of a poem, and especially a love poem, and I try to make it as weird as it can possibly be. Because I hate poetry. I hate reading poetry. I took a poetry class. I hated every second of it. Everything to me was super cliche. Everything was just straightforward. Nothing really spoke to me as this is what I really want. Because as a writer, for my novels and poetry in general, I want to describe things, everyday things, but in a different way. I mean, if you're reading my book and I'm talking about the sun, I don't want you to be like, oh yeah, the sun. I know what the sun looks like. I don't need to read it all again. I want to compare it to something that no one else has, or if they have, just a little bit, and I want to do my own twist on it, just because I find that exciting. That's what I think writing should be. So when you read my poems, I'll talk about Cold and Cracked Shoulders, because that one is my favorite. It's about hickeys, which sounds pretty weird, but I have one character that's obsessed with hickeys in the sense that men use her for her body, but they leave the hickeys, so when they leave, that's all she has left, and it's this idea of someone wanted you one time, and that's the only mark that's left. And I wrote the poem in that mindset, so I compare moths to hickeys, or hickeys to moths, in the idea that, sorry, my computer was going dim, in the idea that, they're being captured, and you always kind of want to touch them, but the more you touch them, the more they're going to, fade away, kind of with moths. You can't touch them, because whatever, their wings are going to get bad. And the boyfriend that she has, he's always walking in front of lampposts. Well, that's a very common theme in a lot of my books, actually. Charles in 7 Sonnets from a Toad, he walks. There's something about lampposts that I enjoy writing about. So he's walking these lampposts, and so you see in the the poem, you have the silhouette of walking against this light, and that's him walking away. So she feels the moths fluttering against her skin and her stomach, and she wants to keep them, but just like him, he's going towards all the light, and she no, I want them to stay. And the last stanza says, if I could keep all the firefly kisses in a jar, they too would be between dark wings. So here, moths always go to light. Moths are, always drawn, and then that's what kills them sometimes. So then when you go to the light post with lightning bugs, there's light. That hopefully there's a little bit of light for them to stay, and not enough to go away with whoever left them. Speaking, the guy who left the hickeys. And the reason why I love that poem, not only does it get my character's perspective very well, it's just a weird poem. I mean, I've had so many people read it like, were you on acid when you wrote this? Nope. I just got back from a date and wrote it. Well, I kind of wrote it when I knew the guy that was going to break up with me was about to break up with me. Yeah, that was a weird sentence. Sorry. Just thinking about it, I get all razzled. So no, I wasn't on acid. Like I said, I think in some of my other videos, writing is the way I deal with my emotions. So when I was upset, I wrote that poem. And it's my favorite just because it's so weird. I could write a poem about hickeys, but some people would be interested in it. That I want people to read my work and go, whoa, who would think that you could compare hickeys to moths and people going against light and then wanting to go away with them because that's their owners in the sense, and you're being left alone. Because we're all drawn to certain things, moths to light, me to the guy, my character to Robert Till. It's all this kind of connection, and we just want to hold on to it and capture it in little jars. I could quote The Catcher in the Rye, but no, I'll save that for another video. And when I'm posting these poems on Jovi Dovi Part 2, you can tell there's lots of moths, there's lots of insects, and I talk about God a lot. I'm a religious person, and I just like to throw in God, because all of us have this concrete image of him. Well, not all of us, but I would assume most of us do. And I like to kind of play with that image just like I play with all the images in my poetry. So this is kind of a long rant, and I don't really know if I helped or anything, but yeah, I guess me talking about my poetry and what I try to aim for, I don't want people to sit down and go, yep, read this before, move on, because that's how I am. When I read something, if there's 1% cliche stuff in it, I'm done. Bored. I'm out of it. And I'll probably be posting my favorite poem. It's super weird, it makes no sense, and that's why I love it. And this poem actually inspired lots of my poems and my writings. That's the reason I write about moths all the time, is because of this poem. I'll post it, I might make a video of me, reading it. Who knows? Tell me what you want. This is just me ranting.